Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for some more of the Bloodfeud of Altheus. First book in the Cretan Chronicles, a short series of only 3 gamebooks. Now, we left off at a bit of a fork in the road, a decision to make, and I have pondered this decision day in day out over the last week. It has weighed on my mind a few times, and I have no idea. I seem to recall this series has a lot of blind decisions, where there's very little indication as to what the consequences may be. This is something a lot of players accused older gamebooks of, but it was certainly more true of some series than others. Let's reread the section. The sun, now well above your far-off home in Trozen, throws gentle light down on the earth below. Why did I want to say path? Let's do that again. The sun... Wow. Let's try again with actual moisture in the mouth on the word sun. The sun, now well above your far-off home in Trozen... It's not Germany. The sun, now well above your far-off home in Trozen, throws gentle light down on the earth below. Its warming rays play on the leaf-filled trees. The way out of Cleone climbs gently to the crest of the foothills. Your legs, now fresh and eager for the journey, make light work of the ascent. As you reach the top, you gasp at the panorama below. To your left, the Gulf of Corinth opens out in a vast expanse of wine-dark water. At its head lies the city of Corinth, standing like a watchtower vigilant over the sea in case the pirates come to carry off the crops and lay waste to... Again, there's no to, but it is still grammatically correct. At its head lies the city of Corinth, standing like a watchtower vigilant over the sea in case the pirates come to... Pirates! It's not even that late. I mean, I didn't get much sleep last night, but I certainly made up for it during the day and evening. So let's just try again, shall we? To your left, the Gulf of Corinth opens out in a vast expanse of wine-dark water. At its head lies the city of Corinth, standing like a watchtower vigilant over the sea in case the pirates come to carry off the crops and lay waste the swell-stocked villages. At the foot of the hills to the right is little Kenchrea, sister of Corinth, as the moon is to the sun. Beyond the harbour, the Saronic Gulf reaches out almost to Athens, city of the owl-eyed goddess. Between the waters, the isthmus links the Isle of Pelops with the wilder lands beyond. You ponder your choice between bustling Corinth and quiet seafaring Kenchrea. Sorry, Kenchrea. Because the AEA is... No, that's just Aya. Yeah, with Greek, yeah. It's just section 3, so that's an easy number to remember. So, we've been coming from Epidaurus. I believe we're wanting to get to Athens, and then by ship to Crete. We have Corinth and Kenchrea. Oh, that's a very different spelling. Kenchrea. Kenchrea. We'll go with Kenchrea. I'm not going to go looking it up on the internet to see if it even exists or if it's correct. So this is a solid land bridge. Kenchrea is closer to Athens, but is it the best place to stop for the night? Also, if this is a land bridge, if we stop at Corinth and try and get a ship, we'll have to travel all the way around here, whereas in Kenchrea we may be able to get a boat directly to Athens. Is that wise, however? I'm not sure there is a sense of urgency to this journey, and we will have time to make it by land. So we got a choice between the big city and the quiet little port town. That's all we got to go on. Well, I find Corinth easier to pronounce. Wait. That too looks like it's in italics. Interesting. We don't seem to need to worry about money in this adventure. If we go to the big city, there'll be more people. So better supplies, more information, but also possibly more danger. If we go to the smaller town, it is a seaport, so we should be able to procure passage on a vessel. However, I don't know, I'll go to Corinth. It reminds me of Prince Corin from The Horse and His Boy. And it's a famous city name, the other one not so famous. Down towards the metropolis you trek, the hill paths littered with rubble, forcing you to tread wearily. Shepherds graze their sheep to the left and right, and as you come close to the city, carts begin to pass you, plying between Corinth and its sister port, Kenchreia. There's a clue here. What could the clue be? What is the heroic thing to do? Because remember, the clues are something a Bronze Age hero might think to do. And we have been warned that if there's no obvious course of action that a Bronze Age hero would reasonably take in such a situation, there will be a punishment for choosing a false clue. So how would a Bronze Age hero, particularly a Greek hero, behave? They're expected to be honourable, courageous, brave, strong, athletic. We're allowed to be cunning, witty, occasionally even a little devious, but we should not stoop to being dishonourable or downright villainous. And what would we do here? Steal some sheep? I don't know. There's no obvious course of action here. Let's go straight to the city. The city is extremely busy. People flock to and from the vast market. You stand and shake your head at the tradesmen hawking goods from all parts of Greece. City life is so different from the tranquillity of simple Troezen. Standing over the market and dominating it is a temple of Aphrodite, its columns carved in pure white marble, young women and priestesses languishing idly on the steps. You hurry by and go up to a stall selling fruit. You buy some grapes, and the stall-keeper at once notices that your money is not that of Corinth. You fall into conversation with him. Thinking that you are travelling south, he warns you to avoid Epidaurus and a man named Procrustes in Tyrans. Well, we went to Epidaurus. Procrustes is the innkeeper who tried to murder us in Tyrans. Got it. When you explain your destination, he suggests that you go to Delphi to seek inspiration from Apollo, the prophet god. Sounds reasonable. Another nearby stall-keeper suggests Chromion as a suitable next stage on your journey. From there, he says, you can catch a boat to Athens. We can go on through Pagae to Delphi. No, that would be Pagae. Pagae would be more like algae. To Chromion, or stay the night in Corinth. Let's stay the night here before moving on. It's literally just on the previous page. And in italics again, we have a disturbing city image of some kind of large bull attacking. This looks like a forest, though. See the tops of trees, the tree trunks down below, the canopy of leaves. So this is probably not in the city. The activity in the city begins to die down as dusk approaches, but even now it is bigger than any place you could once have imagined. You wander about, admiring the marvels of the town, not realizing how late it is. With a shock, you find it is nearly dark, and you must find an inn before they close their doors for the night. You go down a dark alleyway, thinking you saw an inn sign at the end of it. There's a clue here. I think the clue is, this is a narrow, darkened alleyway, late at night. If there is an inn at the end of this alleyway, many people will travel through the alley and be right picking for gangs of muggers, either going to the inn or coming from it as they go home. So let's take the hint to 224 and see if I was correct. No hero would allow himself to be set upon by peasants in a dark alleyway. You notice some men lurking there and quickly move on, wondering at men who will attack from behind like dogs or Trojans typical of city dwellers. Now, we have the blessing of Asclepius, which will aid us in our next fight. So the first blow would do no damage and would require 2 hits to be wounded. I imagine if we had gone down that alleyway and had been set upon by some men lurking there, it would be yet another group fight, and the fight may be mechanically so difficult due to the amount of foes and our low defense due to the axe, which we still haven't been able to get rid of, that we would have a hard time without the blessing, and with the blessing we could just about scrape through. Fortunately, we have avoided such a potential fate, and instead continue to try and seek ourselves a place of a night. You eventually find a place to spend the night. It is a pleasant enough inn, almost like the one in Trozen, and the old men quaffing their ale in the corner remind you of the elders of your hometown. A sense of homesickness wells up inside you, and you are almost brought to tears by the thought of the house you have left behind. Why, you ask, but you already know the answer. The gods have ordained that you fulfill the task at which your brother died, just as the acorn must strive to become an oak. In the morning, your mind once more at rest, you carry on with your journey. Your doubts allayed, you may travel to Delphi via Pagae or to Chromion. We'll head through Pagae towards Delphi. And these numbers should be different now that we've rested, as the roads may have changed. There may be different events up ahead. Or they may be the same. Perhaps one of them has changed and the other has not. Now, we're not in disfavour with Apollo, and I imagine we may be presented with an opportunity to do so. However, gaining his favour would probably be beneficial going forwards. The road to Pagae is strewn with the bodies of dead cattle and goats, wasted from the plague and rotting from days in the sun. The smell is, at times, overpowering. Unperturbed, you press on, not to be turned aside by some farmer's ill luck. You pass a shrine to Athena, the owl goddess, protectress of this town. The streets seem strangely deserted. As you pass a particularly imposing building, a man beckons to you. "Stranger," he calls, "for you are obviously such, and have not heard of this town's affliction. There is a plague here caused by rats. All our efforts to drive them out have been unsuccessful. Many of our folk have been bitten and died. Perhaps you could help us." This is Athena's town? Surely her town should be Athens. I think we should help, as she is our patron, and it is only right. Also, as it is Athena, we should look to do this in an intelligent way. The Lord of Pagae takes you to a derelict barn on the outskirts of the city. "Here," he says, "the rats are nesting. I am sure that you can deliver us. You have some of the marks of a hero." With this, he ushers you into the barn and closes the door behind you. It is dark and musty, and as your eyes grow accustomed to the gloom, you think you see small shapes scurrying around. There is the sound of squeaking and scrabbling. If you are in favour of Asclepius, we are indeed. Otherwise, Asclepius would be neutral, or we could even be disfavoured. We are most fortunate then. That looks like italics. Hang on, I just want to check 226. Because it is a scan, and even to think of shedding blood in the house of your father is shameful. No, that was not italics. Alright. But we are in favour of Asclepius anyway, so we shouldn't need to look at anything else. Interesting that looks like italics then. So, just a few pages back to here. The healer god, in repayment for your earlier service, lights up the barn with a healing glow. The rats, harbingers of death and disease, cannot bear the touch of Asclepius, and they perish, withered where they stood, as the golden ears of corn die at the scorching touch of Skeron, the wind of the northwest. Your task is done, and the town of Pagae is set free from the plague. You are in favour with Athena, if she was not your patron. In any case, you may have 4 honour points. The lord of the town, seeing what has happened, greets you, but hurries you out of the town with only a loaf, afraid of the works you might perform in his domain. Well, let's take those honour points. We're bound to need them at some point. We're not in risk of our honour being outweighed by a shame yet. Let's move on. And we haven't found a good picture for an episode thumbnail yet, and I've barely started, so we're definitely continuing. Ah! Picture. Wrong section? I think so. Oh no. Quickly on your way from the disease-ridden town of Pagae, you come to a fork in the road. Placed just where it begins is the triple-formed statue of Hecate, queen of the underworld and goddess of night, one head pointing in each direction. In one of her 6 hands she carries a headless jet-black puppy. In another she holds a torch. You may pass the statue on the right towards Eleusis, or the left, and Delphi. To Delphi we shall go. I don't think the directions are wrong. Eleusis may be interesting, but I don't think we can come back to Delphi after. What the... The road to Delphi is long and hard, and you soon realize that you will not make it in a single day. Late in the afternoon of the 5th, you see ahead a small band of travellers, and you hurry towards them, trying to catch up. By their plain garb, you can see that they are pilgrims, most probably making, as you are, for the archer god's sanctuary at Delphi. You see they are carrying gifts of jewellery, gold and silver for the god. You realize you have no comparable gift. Do you try to force the pilgrims to give you something by attacking them? That's not very heroic. We could join them and try to buy something from them, but money hasn't been... Or press on regardless, trusting in your heroic prowess to impress the god. We could try and make a purchase. They might not like it. Would Apollo be offended if we tried to purchase their offerings from them? Quite possibly. Especially if we turn up with it for something stolen. No, we can offer a trade. What can we give? The axe? Oh, quite possibly. The pilgrims are friendly and are indeed on their way to Delphi to worship at the archer god's shrine. You tell them They tell you something of the road ahead. You must pass through Kirha, but this is within the sacred plain of Delphi, where nothing should be cultivated. You admire one of the effigies of the god, and a fair-haired woman offers it to you, but you insist that she takes some money for it. She accepts, and you carry on down the road. The sky darkens, and it seems there might be a storm. The other pilgrims stop at a roadside hostel which caters for travellers on their way to Delphi, but you press onwards to Kirha, anxious to get as far as you may before nightfall. So, is effigy made of wood? Effigy of Apollo. There we go. Well, you may have taken a very wise decision there. Oh, wow. 336 is the end, not the final section of a book. Interesting. Or maybe there are multiple endings. In the dim light of dusk, you see a small number of pilgrims at one side of the road. More pilgrims. This could be an ambush. In conversation with a large group of men carrying what look like iron-shafted javelins. What could those be if they're not javelins? Could they be, like, torchbearers or something? I'm not sure. The pilgrims seem to hand something over, then carry on their way. They're being robbed, aren't they? As you come closer to the spot, one of the men bars your way. "Halt, pilgrim," he shouts. "You must pay for your passage in coin or labour." He explains that to get past through Kira to Delphi, you must either pay or must plough a certain amount of the field behind, first catching the bull. 359. This feels like we should take a clue. You call on Apollo to aid these men You call upon Apollo for aid against these men desecrating the plain. We are not in disfavour with him, and I'm not even sure how that could have happened unless we attacked the pilgrims earlier. Otherwise, okay, we'll go to section 11 and see what happens there. The god fills the bull with a divine frenzy, and it sets upon the men. Suddenly afraid of the charging of the beast, they drop their javelins and rush back to Kira and beyond, as the farmer who has trodden upon a snake unawares recoils and is afraid, runs away and leaves his plough untended, not unattended. Untended is kind of correct. And his corn for the black crows to pick at. You may pick up one of the javelins for yourself. It is normal, might 1, no protection, but you may, as your first action in combat, throw it, and then engage in normal combat, still having the first strike if you want it. So long as you defeat your opponent, you retrieve the javelin. Okay, so hang on. And retrieve if victorious. Okay. Let's carry on to the village. That definitely felt like they'd been robbing people. Eventually, you come to a pilgrim's hostel, and there was no honour for that, probably because we prayed for the gods' intervention. Eventually, you come to a pilgrim's hostel, and there, as it is now completely dark, you decide you must stay the night. You sleep fitfully and have strange pains in your arms and legs. Many times you think you see the goddess Athena, but as you try to speak, the vision disappears. Are the gods trying to tell you something? You can only hope that the oracle has the answer. In the morning, you rise and set off quickly for Delphi, eager to unravel the mystery, but there's a clue here. Could there be poison in the mattress or the bedsheet? Something is up. You're on your way to the Delphic Oracle. Try asking there. Have 1 point of shame. Fine. I'll take it. Fair enough. I did wonder what action we could have taken. Like maybe to pray or something. As the morning mists clear, you see Delphi for the first time. Behind it, Mount Parnassus rises, its snow-capped peak rising almost to heaven. Its slopes thickly wooded, the haunt of the Dryads and their nymphly kin. All around to the north, the rocky mountains imprison the temple in its deep-set valley, cleft in the centre with two great cliffs. From this issues the Castalian spring, its clear waters flowing down the slopes past the Norplian rock, from which forbidding crag by custom criminals are cast. You go on up the slope to Delphi. That's nice, bit of history, information, good stuff. It could be educational, These books do have their place, or did back in the day. Another hint. Why? The climb is hard and takes its toll from your wearied limbs. You pass the outbuildings of the great temple, almost unnoticed in your eagerness to hear the words of the living god. The white marble shrine is awesome indeed. Crowds of pilgrims throng about the temple steps like bees around the honey pot, unaware of the danger that lurks nearby. You ascend the steps, pushing through the mob, and enter the temple itself through high-arched gates decorated in huge gems with the deeds of the god. You leave your weapons outside and enter. We have a clue here. I do not wish to take the clue if the clue is take your weapons into the temple. But I want to take it if it's not take your weapons into the temple. So I want to look at the clue, and if it's take your weapons into the temple, I will not take it. Many have thought of stealing the god's jewels. None have succeeded. Have one shame point. Okay, it wasn't to do with taking our weapons into the temple. I'll take the point of shame. Might as well, because I looked anyway. No honour cost for taking a hint, but shame still applies. We haven't really had an honour cost for taking a hint yet. Another hint. The temple walls are bare. There are none of the tapestries that decorate the temple at Troezen. The only ornaments are the thousands of gifts heaped in front of the sanctuary of the Pythian priestess. A dull white curtain edged in gold conceals the Pythia from prying eyes. You see a white-robed priest approach you. He stops in front of you and waits expectantly, then impatiently. We should take the hint. If the hint is to beat him up and rob him, we're not going to do that. That's dishonourable. If the hint is to give him the hint is... Right. We have the effigy. That's not the hint. Oh, sod it. Let's take a look. We're doing pretty well for honour so far. You realise that the priest is waiting for a gift for Apollo. If you have a statuette and wish to offer it, I mean, it's an effigy, but that might as well be a statuette. Mother's gem, offer him money. Okay, no, we'll offer him the statuette. I've noticed language is not consistent in describing items in this series. The priest takes the golden figure, and gazes at it as if entranced. He looks up with a start and leads you to a spot in front of the sanctuary. He tells you to wait for a while, and then he will interpret the Pythian priestess's moans. If you were in disfavour with Apollo, he is now neutral to you. This clue is probably to do something bad, like sneak in. Let's wait for him. The clue could be to realise he's going to do something bad, but let's be trusting at this point. We're in a temple after all. And I've come across too many bad clues recently. What? 574. Wait. 554. That was the clue, wasn't it? 550. I was 181. That's the number I needed. Yeah, I was... Why did I literally went to the wrong section. I was so used to adding 20. And I did say I wasn't going to do it, so... Just... me turning the wrong pages. A low moaning noise issues from behind the curtain. The Pythian priestess has begun to utter the words of Apollo. You notice that a small, withered man dressed in a rich tunic has pulled aside a corner of the curtain and seems to be looking at what lies beyond. That's dishonourable. He shouldn't look. We'll pull him away. You pull the old man away from the curtain. No one notices, but you feel the favour of the god upon you. Should I actually change that to favour? Or am I about to be instructed to do so? The priestess, no longer gripped by the power of the god, falls silent. The priest approaches you once more and says, I must interpret for you the words of the prophet god. Thus speaks Apollo. Go to the daughter of a far-off king and put your trust in the sheep's offspring. He grins knowingly, and having thanked him for the help he has given, you turn, collect your armour, and set out on the road down the road to Thebes. We can't select this as it's a scan, so I'm just going to make note of it here. Ram or sheep? Sheep's. Really now? Okay. Prophecy from a Temple of Apollo. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say we know who the daughter of a far-off king is. This is a little more open to interpretation, but we'll hopefully work it out when the time comes. As you walk down the hillside from the temple of the god, an unearthly cry freezes your blood. You look up, startled. From the high crag above, a man plummets like the eagle's egg dislodged from the lofty eyrie falls, and its life's majesty is done before it starts. You stand in silence for a moment, wondering at the fate of the dead man, then carry on towards Thebes. We were told criminals are hurled down from that rocky precipice. He doesn't look like the old man that we pulled away from the curtain, although that would have made a lot of sense, ironically, actually, if we hadn't even noticed him be taken away to be executed. But we remember, I don't think it's someone who was so absolutely devastated by the prophecy we received that he killed himself and gave up on life. I think that's a criminal execution. The road is tree-lined now, and you think you see satyrs and fawns in the glades, but whenever you investigate, they have gone. You carry on, and the milky white moon filters through the swaying trees. The wind caresses your face, but all else is strangely silent. Suddenly, out of the bushes, a snow-white hart leaps, gazes at you for a moment with frightened eyes, then bounds off into the forest on the opposite of your path. The clue here is obviously to follow the white hart, which will then be caught by King Henry the 6th or the 7th, I believe it is. And then he names the first inn in my hometown that he comes across on his way home after it, and all the other white harts, including the one between my house and that one, are imitations. Who just copied the name because they thought they could get away with it. Yeah, that's right. The real white hart and one of the imposter white harts are literally within like a mile and a half of each other. We're taking the clue on this one. We might get to meet Dionysus. Yes. Dionysus the Greek, Bacchus for the Romans, feasting with the fawns and satyrs and centaurs in the forest. 412 it is. This seems to be a blatant clue we're supposed to follow. You follow the hart into the bushes, and you find yourself tiring as the animal darts elusively to and fro ahead of you. Now its speed outstrips your failing limbs entirely, and you fall to the ground to recover. And what will gather around us before we raise our head? What will have changed when we look up? After a few minutes, you rouse yourself. You are lost, and it is nearing dark. The moon barely penetrates the leafy canopy. From afar, you can hear the strains of flutes and high-pitched giggling. You move cautiously towards the apparent source of the noise. A moonlit clearing opens out in front of you, and you pause at the edge. You gaze in wonder at the scene before you. Nymphs and satyrs frolic with wild abandon. Are these the maenads? If they are, they'll get violent if we disturb their revelling. Is it bad to look at a nymph when she's in private? This isn't private, they're celebrating. I think we've taken a hint to get here so far. Let's take the hint again and hope it doesn't get us into trouble. You could step out and seek the hospitality of these wooden creatures, or you could press on into the night in the hope of getting to Thebes. We could get lost. Let's introduce... First off, hang on, 131, 111, 467. So there's no 467 here. Let's introduce ourselves. We've been brought here by the stag, with meaning and intent. Nine. Stranger! Booms one of the satyrs as you step forward. Come join our revels! A goblet is thrust into one of your hands as the music starts afresh. A nymph slips her hand into yours and the dancing begins afresh. Another afresh. The hot blood pounds in your veins, and as the hours pass, you drink deeply of the vine's fruit and forget yourself in the blissful oblivion of Dionysus. Let's hope we don't forget ourselves for too long, as our quest does wait for us. You awaken next morning, your head throbbing. The events of the night seem long ago, and such indulgence is not fitting for a hero with great deeds to accomplish. Have 2 shame points, but you are in favour with Dionysus, god of wine, which may be useful if someone gives us poisoned wine later on. At length, after an hour's walk, you find the road to Thebes. 2 points of shame. Okay, now the shame is racking up. We'll have to be a bit more careful. However, Dionysus was not even on the list on the character sheet, so he has now been added along with Asclepius. Let's hope the favour of the gods is generally beneficial. You walk on down the road for many hours. Ahead, in the centre of the plain, a town stands whitely, baking in the morning sun. Above, an eagle circles and swoops, then it rises into the air again, a small mouse clasped in its talons. Soon you reach the town and discover that you were correct. The place is Thebes. Quickly you enter the gates of the city. Even as you do so, you wish you were elsewhere. The very ground is sticky, and the smell of unwashed, unwanted beggars assails your nostrils. A small boy runs up and tries to take your boots. He is soon joined by many others of his ilk. Surely we're wearing sandals and not boots. This is ancient Greece after all. Especially... those are definitely sandals on the cover picture. Wrinkling your features in unshamed disgust, you press on through the grimy, unlovely alleys. Your belly pleads for food, but your head urges you to quit this foul place. We could eat or leave the town hungry. Let's think about this and remove the effigy of Apollo from our character sheet. Leaving the town hungry might give us a penalty to stats for a little bit or something. Eating... we are in favour of Asclepius. Not that it's necessarily going to count twice, but let's eat something. It does not take you long to find a hostelry no more appealing than the rest of the town, but you wait for some time before the surly innkeeper will serve you. The food gets worse with every mouthful, and at the end, the keeper belches in your face. You pay him more than the whole tavern is worth, and resolve to wait out the night here. You doze lightly, and as if in a dream hear fragments of conversation from the other customers. I was going to the bear hunt, but apparently some fool killed it last night. I used to be one of hers, but the list put me right off. That would be Athena. I've told the other 5. The assassin strikes at... Oh, there's definitely something we should be doing here. Maybe burst in on this group, confront them, and demand the full information. 258 it is. There's an assassin involved. We don't want to be the target. You're awake now and strained to hear. As you listen, it becomes clear that the plot is afoot to kill the king of Thebes. You can let sleeping dogs lie, or take the part of the king and be bait, or of the conspirators. What? So we would pretend to be one of the assassins? I may be distinctly misunderstanding this here. If it's take the side of the king... Okay, let's say we take the part of the king. 64. Presumably then we... Determined to foil this evil plot, yes. You stay or would it be join the assassins then warn the king? You stay a moment, considering the choices to which grim-hearted Lachesis points with her staff. You could go to the palace and warn the king of the plans against his life, or try to tackle the men yourself. 84. There's a clue. It would be funny if they were just actors preparing a script. Lachesis is one of the 3 fates, Moirae. She has 2 sisters, Clotho and Atropis. Lose 1 honor point for not knowing. Fine, okay. But we don't lose an honor point because Athena lets us know about information like that. And prevents us from having an honor cost for taking a hint. I think we confront the men ourselves, like the hero we are. With the axe. You walk up to the table where the 2 men are seated. They look at you questioningly, clearly not pleased at your interruption. We could draw our sword and attack them. We don't have a sword. This sentence clearly made it through editing. Or try and persuade them not to kill the king of Thebes. And how would we do that? I think we attack. And throw a javelin at point-blank range across the table like, you bastard! Treason shall not go unpunished. They don't you mean trozen? No, treason! You rush into the attack, but your opponents are also swift. They draw daggers from the folds of their cloaks and defend themselves. The plotters, remember there's 2 of them from a previous section, it's not made clear here, are might 6, 5 plus 1 for a dagger, and protection 13, 12 plus 1 for bearskin. Remember the rules about fighting multiple opponents. Okay, so we will throw a javelin. Our might is 4, plus 1 for javelin is 5. That's a 15. We have wounded one of the plotters. So might 6, protection 13. And wounded. Then we rush in with our axe, and we're adding a whopping plus 9 a 14. Good stuff. I don't know what this is. This is a fuck off. My computer doesn't have the chip that is required to run Windows 11. fuck off. So this man is now seriously wounded, which means he never got to strike, and we get to turn our attention on the second man. Another 14, so he is now wounded, but he does finally get to strike back with 1 die. No, 2 dice plus 6. Unsurprisingly, 13, that hits us, which removes the blessing of Asclepius, leaving us healthy. We then strike again. Another 15, and he is also seriously wounded. Meaning we get to turn to 301. That javelin helps a lot, so we will recover it if the fight is over. Seeing that the fight is hopeless and that you are too lucky, both men drop to their knees and beg for clemency. One of them gasps, "Spare us, and we will tell you everything. Kill us, and the blood of the king of Thebes is on your hands, and the implacable furies will pursue you to the end of your days. You may have 6 honor points from your victory and may take 1 dagger. We already have a long knife, which is better, but we'll take the 6 honor points, absolutely. We will spare them. We're not going to kill them anyway. It's the heroic thing to do. Now, the heroism in this series is a little more straight-laced than you might imagine for the classical Greco-Roman period. Oh dear. Clearly grateful to you for sparing their lives, the men stand and somewhat warily begin their tale. You must believe us when we tell you that the king of Thebes is to be killed this night. One of the palace guards has been bribed to leave open a door in the courtyard that leads to a staircase. From here, the assassin will ascend to the king's room and kill him while gentle sleep has robbed him of his wits. Warn the king if you will, but say nothing of our part, and all-powerful Zeus will smile on you for the rest of your days. We're not going to kill him. We're being honourable. We don't want the shame. We've racked up, 3 shame points this episode already? We'll let them go and go warn the king. Because now we have a few more details. As the men run off down the street and disappear, you realise that you cannot simply keep what you have heard to yourself. You set off towards the centre of the town, where the great white palace of the Theban king stands, a memorial to more glorious times. If this is kill them as they run away, I'm not doing this. Owl-faced Athena appears and bars your way to the palace. Foolish youth, she says, you have spared these men to warn their companions. You are in terrible peril. You cannot rescue the royal king of Thebes now. You must rush from the city. Run! With this, Athena transforms herself into an owl and flies to Olympus, keeping upwind of Thebes. Well, shit, so we should have killed him after all. They told us of a plan, but now the plan has changed. Oh, bugger. Okay. And to think we could have not taken that plan and just walked right into some kind of ambush. With thankfulness in your heart, you quit the city of Thebes. You carry on up the road, passed by farmers with their bullock carts. Sorry, I misread buttock, tried to avoid it, and went straight into bollocks. You carry on up the road, carry, not curry. Right, fuck it. Right back to the beginning of the section. With thankfulness in your heart, you quit the city of Thebes. You carry on up the road, passed by farmers in their bullock carts, slowly making their way to Acharnae. The The path is cracked and rutted, and the fields to either side are flooded by the spring-swollen streams. A fallen tree blocks the way for a while, but you quickly clamber over it. You soon reach the foothills of the range before Acharnae. The going is hard, but there is no snow. As you climb, the wind grows colder and you shiver slightly. Soon, however, you are over, and you come to the outskirts of Acharnae, barely visible in the dusk. I think we... I'm not sure when would have been the best time to kill them. As you reach a minor crossroads at the start of the town itself, you see a group of men clustering around a low altar. One of them carries a dull iron sickle, another a squealing jet-black puppy. Two of the group hold it down while the officiating priest prepares to strike. The sun casts an elongated shadow, making the men seem from a distance like strange giants. It's their religious sacrifice. Who are we to intrude and interfere? One of the gods may be offended if we disrupt this sacrifice. We will pass on. The town of Acharnae is in festival at this time of the year, for the annual chariot races are being held this week. All over the town, men prepare their horses and repair their chariots. You have been walking for some time, and so decide to find an inn to rest for a while. You are directed to a small, low building fringed by trees where many of the competitors are staying. The price for the night is high, but you can just afford it. The excited chattering of the guests is like the buzz of bees greedy for honey, but you can make out some of it. There is, in fact, to be a race within the hour along the narrow streets of the town. We could go to bed or set out for the chariot races. This feels like it's almost a good time to end the episode, but I think I'll push on a bit. We'll go to the races. Well, this looks rough. Your black-coated foes seem unwilling to spare you. That's probably where the picture is coming from. Thankfully, you have not spent a miserable night alone in bed. Thankful that you have not spent a miserable night alone in bed, you make your way to the perimeter of the walls, which is the course of the race. As you arrive, the crowd catches sight of the front-runners. The red and green team's chariots thunder towards you, jockeying for position as they approach a bend in the wall. Without warning, the green chariot cuts inwards, and the red driver is forced to swerve. As he does so, his wheel hits a large stone. His chariot bounces and tips over. He struggles frantically to control it, but in vain. It overturns. The rider is dragged along, tangled in the reins for a time before the horse plunges into some spectators. Several people are trampled, but at least one of the charioteers not driving in the race brings it under... At last, one of the charioteers not driving in the race brings it under control. The driver is badly injured, and a small crowd gathers around him. Just as you reach the spot, you hear him gasp out in pain. He is carried to an inn, and there set down on a table. The landlady bustles over to speak to him, but all he is interested in is who is to take his place in the red team. He offers the chance to drive his spare chariot to whoever bets on the winner in the next race. 3 young men bet various large sums of money. We could approach him and place a bet on the next race, so that if you win your bet, you can drive in the race after that. Or just watch the races. I mean, it feels like the heroic thing to do. Sure. The driving in the next race, not the placing of a bet. As you come near, you find to your embarrassment that you spend most of your money on the room and cannot match the young nobleman's wages. We've been robbed because we were told we could just have wages. We could offer a gift instead. What would our gift be? Not our mother's gem, surely. It's got to be the only thing we got, hasn't it? Oh... You may offer him any one of these, providing you have it. The golden Acornia brooch, the golden cup, your mother's gem, or the jewelled mirror. We can't afford to lose that. If you do not possess any of these, or do not wish to risk losing the bet, That's a big decision, and I'm thinking it's one I should make in the next episode. Yeah, sure. I hope you've all enjoyed this one. We've made good headway across the map. And I'll look forward to seeing you all in the very next episode. I'll say goodbye for now, though, and cheerio, everyone. See you all soon.